Hey y'all. I want to say thank you. I always say thank y'all to those of you that have subscribed because I feel like my channel has been growing um, rather quickly to an extent. I'm someone that had YouTube for a while, but I never really delve into it. I've mentioned before, I'm not someone that's on social media. So for me, like keeping up with anything social media related, it's very difficult. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like it's actually rather nerve-wracking having your life, yourself, like out there for people to see, for the world to judge. Nonetheless, I created this channel with the intent to open it up for people of color, from all over the globe to really discuss these issues because I find that many of us that live in countries where unfortunately we are the minority now, although once again it's very puzzling due to the fact that it was, these places that are colonized were indigenous lands and territories or of other communities and groups. Um, and here we are, right? Today we are minority or the minority. Uh, um, and it's a difficult, it's, I feel like it has its difficulties and challenges. I'm not going to say and fluff it up. I find that yes, it's great to be positive. It's great to be optimistic. I'm someone that has tried to embody that in life in the past, but I feel like it's also good to be realistic. And um, unfortunately, when I've navigated the web, I haven't been able to find a place where I can freely share my experience or that experience. I feel like a lot of times I am silenced or made to feel from a community that is privileged, from a community that I can only assume is white, obviously, given the fact that they don't really have to worry or concern themselves about being people of color navigating this world, that I am silenced, or individuals like POCs are silenced and they've had that experience. And I've seen them and I've read them, fortunately enough, for some individuals that have been able to even find these platforms. Like there's one specific subreddit on Reddit that I found that it was just POC centric. Unfortunately, it's being in a way overrun by white folks now coming into our spaces and not really being um, individuals that are contributing anything positive when all is said and done. If these spaces exist, and I've spoken about this as well, when POCs make, and I've seen this within the Black community, we just want Black, this space is solely for the Black community. And I understand and can see why that would be, because when you have people from outside coming in and then they're bringing their ideas and thoughts that often can be ignorant, it really doesn't help. You've made that space in order for it to be safe, and here we are having individuals that think they are safe or think they're being constructive or beneficial, but instead they're being destructive and um, they're being selfish, to say the least, and focused on oneself instead of seeing, oh, okay, let me put myself in that person's position or shoes. Like perhaps I've never had that experience, but let me listen, right? Let me understand. Then that allows one to really be able to be of, I guess, like, how would I even describe that? Of being able to change the dynamics of the world and be a positive influence instead of a negative one. So, with that being said, I know that was kind of a long rant or a lengthy rant. This space is, for individuals that have navigated the world and have been made to feel like the other, right? And I would say this is a space that I've created so I can vocalize my experience, so I can share my experience, and that you can also feel free to share your experience down below for my Black and brown brothers and sisters. And that's what I want to say, because I find once again that not only do people do this, but our own societies do this. The West does this frequently, often, by not addressing the issues that have existed, and much of the damage, if not all of the damage that they've done, created historically, and has led to these circumstances and systems that are not conducive and beneficial for communities of color to exist and continue to exist. And actually, it leads me to also say that I will be reading something that pretty much covers that very thing. It's just like I've seen the West, or once again, individuals embody this persona of being a white savior, right? And we know about that so much. And it's like individuals in the West, white privileged individuals in the West, will advocate till the end of days, end of time, regarding people of color living internationally. For example, I can use the example of Free Palestine and the situation that's happening in Palestine, which I'll dive into to some degree in the video that is to come. But they don't even address the very issues that are happening here. So there's so much hypocrisy in that. And once again, being able to still navigate this world, appearing as something that they're not, or wanting to appear as something positive, as role models, as representatives of humanity, yet not realizing that you should first start in your place. It almost reminds me of like the verse from the Bible, which says, take the sty out of your eye before you take the sty out of another person's eye. So very same thing. You're living in a place and location that has been colonized, that indigenous communities were murdered and killed, and Black communities were murdered and killed. Same for other communities, Latinos, which we often forget. These individuals were indigenous to the Americas, much of the ones that are being deported, right? And you don't even bother to tackle those issues, but you are quick to tackle an international issue that is about another community of color. And I've mentioned that when these communities of color come here, they're often made to feel as if they don't belong. So there's such poor treatment to communities of color that you even advocate for. So are you advocating only to appease, right, to the public, or to appear as you're a good person, a good individual, a good human, but that is not really the state of your heart? So that's what I want to say, and I'll dive into which is pretty much goes hand in hand with what I just said. But yeah, this is a space and place for all my fellow brothers and sisters to feel comfortable and free to share their experience. And if you see some of my content perhaps not being available any longer, I'm considering removing some of the content that I feel like was lengthy. Perhaps it wasn't as maybe beneficial, comprehensive, perhaps easy to follow. I've really taken the initiative to start writing what my thoughts are, and then being able to deliver it, given the fact that I feel like I have so many thoughts. And I've mentioned this in another video as well. I have a lot of thoughts, and sometimes I'm just like, it's essentially word vomit. And when one does that, it's often hard to follow. I'm not gonna lie, because I feel like you have to make those connections, and it's easier to make those connections when you're writing it down so it can be organized, opposed to when I am thinking about them, I'm delivering them, I have so many thoughts, perhaps at once, and so many things that I'm thinking about making connections with, and it's hard to even like organize those mentally. So I've been considering that. I've also been like, I'm just like, rather, I'm not going to lie, and I said this also in the beginning of this video. I'm like, I'm nervous, I'm hesitant, like, oh my gosh, like, I'm putting myself out there. It is a very nerve-wracking thing. I can see why people don't always, and that's why I wanted to be bold about this. I wanted to be like, I'm so tired of people dismissing the experience of POCs and people of color, and I will not tolerate that. And I will take the initiative and be bold and, make this platform so you guys can know that your voices can be heard, and you don't have to feel like you have to be silent, remain silent to be palatable, to be comfortable for someone. Like, speak up, and speak freely and make your truth be known, right? Because I find that truth not only sets you free, but once again, individuals have been changed or have contributed to change historically are people that sat down and were silent. They were people that stood up and were vocal. So there's that. And I leave you with that. And I'm going to circle back to what I said because I wrote it down. Yeah, that's about it. All right, take care.